The farrier trade is a very important and crucial one to the horse racing industry. In South Africa, we are blessed with some of the best. We are going over to Robbie Miller. He's just been inducted into the Horseshoeing Hall of Fame. Let's catch up with him, get a bit of his background, and he can give us a great insight into the global farrier industry. We're here today, we're at Drakenstein Stud, and we are with the one and only Robbie Miller. Robbie, put it there. The first South African inducted into the Horseshoeing Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
how does it feel to be famous?
No, it's amazing. I'm humbled. I mean, you know, the guys that have put me in, that have voted for me, are the who's who in our industry. So to be respected and honoured by my peers like that it's incredible.
Yeah, and I mean, there was a 12-13 strong list of potential inductees on this, and obviously you've won the vote. So I mean, let's touch a little bit on your career as a farrier. That's got you to this pinnacle, and obviously you're an authority, not just nationally. I mean, everyone looks to you here in South Africa for your opinion, especially on vital horses, big horses, but obviously a global authority, you know, as the induction into the Hall of Fame goes. Tell us, we've always asked all our guests, how did you get the horse racing bug? Where was the intro? You've come from a bit of a racing family, but where was the first shoe you put on? How did you learn about the farrier trade?
So both my late dad and my late uncle were apprenticed here in Cape Town. My uncle went on to ride for many years. I think he rode in excess of 2,000 winners in his career. And then he went on to train horses, Arthur Miller. When I was at school, a friend of mine was actually shoeing horses for his dad. And I don't know if many people know the Newtons or have heard of the Newtons. Neville Newton used to train way back, and Mark and Craig, his sons, were shoeing the horses, and they were my friends. And at that point, I saw I was starting to get a little bit big to become a jockey. So I enjoyed food, and yeah, I saw Mark and Craig shoeing horses, and I thought this is something that I could like. And subsequently, I got called up to do my national service, and as it normally happens, you go where you don't want to go, or they send you where you don't want to go, and I landed up in the Air Force.
Okay.
And did my national service, but I wanted to shoe horses, and I signed on permanent force, and I went to Bermuda, back in those days, the equestrian centre, and I did my apprenticeship there under Grant Storr. He's very well known in the dressage disciplines and that now. I think he's at Old Summerhill Stud.
Yes.
I think he's involved there now. So that's where it started.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So you come out the army, you're a young guy, you decided now you're going to be a farrier. Early years, when you really did those hard yards, hard hours. I mean, being a farrier is hard hours, no matter how successful you are. It's a labor-intensive job. I always look at you guys and I think, my goodness me, I could never work that hard. But you've now built yourself a fantastic team. We were talking about them earlier. You've got a slick machine running here for your business.
Yes.
We were touching on your bit of travel plans and obviously how you're going to shoe your horses for the WSB Met before you go to Horseshoe Summit. And you've got it to the point where you've got a team that you're very comfortable with leaving in charge behind. And just give us an intro onto who are the important cogs there and how you just went from a single starting farrier to building up this big business.
So I started in Port Elizabeth because Arthur was training there, and it was a massive learning curve. You know, in those days, you know, whatever wasn't doing really well in any of the other centres landed up in PE pretty much. So I think you learn how to deal with issues without any guidance, and I think that's what happened is, you know, you start to figure things out. But moving along now and getting to my team, all of the farriers that are in my team are qualified. I'm very pedantic when it comes to what we do, how we shoe horses, how we deal with the horses that we work on. I think it's very important in that people spend a lot of money on horses, and I think it's only fair for us as farriers to upgrade ourselves to be able to better care for those horses. All my farriers in my team are all qualified. Both of my sons are in the team as well. And I think there are 5 or 6 of us that are getting the horses done. I'm lucky with them. They're actually quite kind to me. Every now and again they throw me a bone, like they'll let me shoe a lead pony or whatever. But yeah, no, for the most part, each guy in the team has horses that he normally shoes and looks after. We do them on a 4-week cycle, and we manage them really well. So, and the team, as you saw earlier, I mean, they run along like a well-oiled machine.
Absolutely. Well, you don't get the Drakenstein job unless you know what you're doing and the people that you work for. Take us through, I think, one important part that you know, people that aren't involved in the trade don't really realize or know too much about is the competition aspects and those big tournaments, if you can call them that, the World Championships in Calgary. You have the WSB competitions in the States. You've got a fantastic track record in those events. You were telling me about them, top South African finisher, et cetera, et cetera. But what disciplines are you judged on? How exactly do those competitions work, and judging criteria, et cetera? How does that all work?
Okay, so you get a number of different shoemaking classes, which is all forging, where you'll get pieces of steel and you'll forge different types of shoes. Those specimens have been sent out to all of the guys a couple of months before, so you have time to practice building those shoes so that you can work your heats out and everything. And what they're looking for, what the judges are looking for, is the shoe that closest resembles the shoe that the judge presented or made for us to copy. So what do they say? Imitation is the best form of flattery.
Correct.
And that is exactly what it is. So the best shoe that you can imitate on the judge's shoe is the shoe that gets the highest mark. And as you go through the different classes, you'll make it through to the final, which is where you'll make and fit shoes onto a horse, which is what we do. We farriers and we shoe horses. And so all of us want to get into the finals where we get to shoe a horse and show off our skills as farriers more so than the blacksmith side of it. So yeah, it's a big thing to get into the shoeing part of the competition.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You've got a phenomenal track record. Give me some positions. Boast a little bit.
So yeah, I've been the top finisher in Calgary every time the top South African finisher, every time I've competed in Calgary. And then I've got back-to-back best shod feet at the WCB in the US. That's Craig Turnko who puts that on, and it's an awesome setup. It's one of the best competition environments on the planet. Wow. So it's really great going there and competing. And the thing is, you know, you're not only just competing, you're interacting with other farriers. So whenever you're interacting with your type, you start to grow and develop,
and
or you continue. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of value in it from all aspects. But yeah, so yeah, I need to get back and go and have another go. I haven't been there for a while.
Don't rest on your laurels. You got to keep up your reputation. And no mean feat, obviously. I mean, the competition, the level. We're talking about the best of the best farriers in the world.
Absolutely.
And Robbie, within just South African ranks, I mean, I suppose our farriers, you could draw comparison with our jockeys. I mean, we have fantastic farriers in this country who've made their mark around the world, not just yourself. Derek Popard is someone that you know quite well.
Yes.
I was fortunate enough to spend some time with him in Dubai at the actual Godolphin headquarters where Charlie Appleby trains. And for the viewers who don't know, Derek is, he's the head farrier out at Godolphin and Dali, which is obviously a massive horse racing operation.
Absolutely,
and he's built his own business and he's manufacturing shoes and all the type of stuff. He's a big barefoot man out there. I think it's a bit easier when you're training on Godolphin and the floors are smoother than my kitchen table, my dinner table. So yeah, I mean, fantastic guy, and I mean, you've obviously known him a long time. He's out there in the world making his mark as well. Yeah, no,
Derek's a phenomenal farrier, very intelligent guy, and he's very much an innovator. He developed and sort of almost perfected the hoof casts. He's got the 3D pads, which are now sold and used worldwide. We've had quite a bit of success with 3D pads here in South Africa as well. So yeah, Derek is definitely, I think he was one of the nominees for the Hall of Fame as well. So, you know, when you rubbing shoulders with guys like this, it's really humbling to have been, you know, inducted.
Well, we're here at Drockenstein, and obviously we were chatting to Kevin Somerville earlier. I mean, they've built this breeding operation from, now we're talking about mares, stallions, homebreds, racing champions, generations now, and a testament to that, reaching their own pinnacle, is a horse like Charles Dickens. As an owner-breeder, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. He looks like a super horse.
Absolutely.
You shot him out as a foal, and your team is in charge of shoeing him now?
Yeah, no, I as a foal, I looked after him, you know, growing up. And we're very particular about how we look after our foals here. We've got them on a strict 4-week cycle. every 4 weeks I look at them. If I have little niggles, I've got some foals that I look at every other week, some foals that I look at every week, and we make little tweaks just to try and get the legs and everything as good as we can. Charles Dickens now, I was lucky enough yesterday when I was in the yard just to have a look at him over the door, and that's about as close as I get to him now. Cornet, he's one of my farriers. It's actually a son of a very good friend of mine up in Joburg, and Cornet shoes him, and he looks at me, if I go towards the stable, he looks at me like, what do you want to do here? So, but that's how much faith I have in the guys in my team, is that, you know, they can shoe any horse in our practice that I can shoe, and I've got full faith in them.
Well, that's fantastic, because I'm sure in a couple of years you'll be looking at the beach house thinking it might be time for semi-retirement. So good to know that you've got the pecking order in charge. And I mean, I suppose we were talking about it with Kevin, it's a marketing dream having a horse like Charles Dickens versus cousin Casey. Never mind all the other top horses that are running the Hollywood Bet Skinnies. So hopefully we'll see you there and you can maybe applaud him home.
Oh, I'll be there for sure. Won't miss it for anything.
Well, Robbie, I must say, well done. I mean, it's obviously, and it's a massive achievement. So once again, Horseshoeing Hall of Fame. Congrats.
Thanks so much.
A massive thank you to everything you do for the South African industry, not just farrier-wise, horse racing. You're a big player, and you know, I think the way the industry is going at the moment, everyone's pulling together, and it's so important that everybody sees that, not just, you know, on the race course or in the breeding shed, or, you know, from the trainers' yards, right from the ground up. Farriers, jockeys, everybody. There's super levels of skill within the South African horse industry at all trade levels, and you testimony to that. And obviously, you're bringing through the next generation of farriers, which is very, very important to the industry going forward. So thank you very much for that.
No, you're welcome. Thanks. If I can just say, it's, you know, apart from the youngsters that we've got coming through, you know, when I lay down my apron, racing needs to have farriers following through. But just with regards to the Hall of Fame induction, it's not only me.
Yeah.
You know, it's all of the farriers here in South Africa that have worked to build up our association and to build up farriery in this country.
And build the credibility of it up.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
you know, it's just to get that respect and to be seen as professionals, which we are.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your time, Robbie.